Defeat doubt, discover destiny. These are not just words strung together, but a call to action, a reminder that within you lies a story yet to be written, a path yet to be walked, and a future waiting to unfold. Every person on this earth carries doubts within their heart. Doubts whisper in the silence of the night, creep into your thoughts when you take your first step toward a dream, and echo in your mind when failure knocks at your door. They tell you that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. But the truth is, doubt is nothing more than a shadow. It only has power if you give it light. Your destiny, your true calling, has been written deep within your soul since the day you were born. It is not found in the opinions of others, nor is it determined by the circumstances of your present. Destiny is something you uncover when you silence the voices of fear, when you refuse to bow down to hesitation, and when you decide that your faith is stronger than your uncertainty. Doubt is a thief, and if you let it, it will rob you of your dreams, your potential, and your chance to live a life of meaning. But destiny is the treasure you find when you rise above, when you confront that inner voice and declare, I am more than my fear. Think about it, every great person in history battled with doubt. The heroes, the inventors, the leaders, the dreamers, they were not immune to fear. What set them apart was not the absence of doubt, but the courage to move forward in spite of it. They understood that doubt only has the power you allow it to have. They believed in the possibility of a greater tomorrow, even when today seemed filled with uncertainty. And because they chose courage over hesitation, they unlocked destinies that changed the world. Your life is waiting for you to make the same choice. Every time you hold back, every time you hesitate, you give doubt control of your story. But when you choose to step forward, even trembling, even uncertain, you defeat it. Progress is not about walking without fear. It is about walking despite fear. That is where destiny is discovered, beyond the walls that doubt builds around you. Imagine the version of yourself who has defeated doubt. Imagine the strength, the confidence, the courage that shines in your eyes. That version of you is not far away. It is within you, waiting for you to rise. Every time you take a step forward, every time you silence the voice that says you can't, you are moving closer to the life you were meant to live. Your destiny is not waiting for a perfect moment. It is waiting for a brave moment, a moment when you decide that your dreams are worth the fight. Doubt will always knock on your door, but you don't have to let it inside. Instead, open the door wide for belief, for hope, for faith in yourself. Your destiny is greater than the fears you feel, stronger than the obstacles you face, and more powerful than the lies that doubt tells you. This is your time to rise, your time to stand tall, and your time to declare that nothing, not fear, not failure, not uncertainty, will keep you from discovering the life you were born to live. Doubt is only a shadow. It has no real power unless you give it light. Think of a shadow. It looks intimidating when it stretches across the wall, appearing larger than life. Yet the moment you turn on the light, it disappears. Doubt works the exact same way in your mind. It creeps in silently, casting a darkness over your confidence, making problems look bigger, dreams look smaller, and obstacles appear impossible. But the truth is, doubt has no substance, no weight, no true control. It is nothing more than an illusion you allow to grow when you focus on it. Just like a shadow, it feeds on your attention. When you give it light, meaning your belief, your energy, your focus, you make it stronger. But if you choose instead to shine the light of courage, faith, and determination, it fades instantly. Every person who has ever dreamed of achieving something greater has felt the heavy hand of doubt press against their chest. Doubt asks questions that paralyze. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if people laugh at me? These questions create an illusion of weakness. But notice, they are always what-ifs. Doubt thrives on the hypothetical. It convinces you of problems that haven't happened yet, failures that don't exist, and barriers that may never come. When you stop feeding those what-ifs and instead focus on what can be, the shadow loses its grip. Doubt shows up most fiercely when you stand on the edge of growth. When you're about to take a leap, when you dare to dream bigger, when you challenge the ordinary, that is when the shadow stretches long. It wants to stop you before you discover your true strength. It disguises itself as caution, as logic, even as self-protection. But really, it is fear in disguise. It whispers, stay where you are, don't risk the unknown, play it safe. And if you listen, you shrink. You remain in the familiar, never knowing the power waiting on the other side. Yet when you refuse to give it light, when you say, I will act anyway, doubt collapses under its own emptiness. Think of a time in your life when you overcame something you once believed was impossible. Maybe it was speaking in public, learning a new skill, facing rejection, or taking on a challenge you thought was too big. At the start, doubt was loud. It screamed that you couldn't do it. But then, with one step, with one attempt, you proved that shadow wrong. And looking back, you realized doubt never had the power. It was you who carried the power all along. The only strength doubt ever had was the strength you gave it by believing in its lies. What doubt hates most is action. The moment you move, the shadow begins to shrink. Action is the light that dissolves uncertainty. Every small step forward is like striking a match in a dark room. Suddenly the shadows scatter. That's why people who keep moving, who keep trying, who refuse to stand still, always find themselves further than doubt said they'd ever go. The key is not waiting for doubt to vanish before you act, but acting so that doubt vanishes. It is important to understand that doubt does not disappear forever. Just like shadows appear again with every sunset, doubt will return at different stages of your journey. But each time it comes, you are stronger, wiser, and more capable of recognizing it for what it is, an empty threat. The first time you may tremble, the second time you may hesitate less, and eventually you will learn to smile when doubt shows up, because you know it signals growth. The presence of doubt is proof that you are stretching, reaching, becoming more than who you were yesterday. The most successful, courageous people in the world are not the ones who never doubted themselves. They are the ones who refused to let the shadow of doubt dictate their choices. They kept walking through the darkness, trusting that their steps mattered, that the light would return. They discovered that beyond every layer of fear was another layer of strength. Doubt wanted them to freeze, but persistence set them free. So the next time doubt whispers in your ear, pause and remember it is only a shadow. It cannot hurt you. It cannot stop you. It cannot decide your future. Its voice may sound convincing, but its words carry no truth unless you choose to believe them. The real power lies in where you place your focus. If you shine the light of belief on your vision, on your dreams, on your abilities, doubt has no choice but to fade. Your life is too valuable to be ruled by illusions. Every moment you let doubt win, you give away a piece of your destiny. But every moment you choose courage, you reclaim your power. Step into the light of possibility and let your actions prove that the shadow never had control. Doubt is temporary. Destiny is eternal. Destiny is uncovered when you silence fear and choose courage over hesitation. Every person is born with a unique purpose, a calling that waits patiently within their soul, urging them forward. Yet for many, this destiny remains hidden, buried under layers of fear and hesitation. Fear disguises itself as caution, whispering that you should wait until you're more prepared, more skilled, or more confident. Hesitation follows, locking your feet in place, convincing you that maybe tomorrow will be better. Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe you should just stay where you are. But destiny is not found in waiting. Destiny reveals itself in action, in moments when you push aside the voice of fear and step boldly into the unknown with courage as your guide. Fear is loud, persistent, and often convincing. It tells you that the risk is too high, the journey too uncertain, and the dream too big. It paints pictures of failure and magnifies every obstacle. Fear convinces you to trade possibility for safety, opportunity for comfort, and growth for familiarity. But courage is the counterforce that breaks this cycle. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you feel it and still move forward. Courage is the voice that whispers, do it anyway. And when you choose courage over hesitation, something powerful happens, doors open. paths appear, and your destiny begins to unfold before your eyes. Think of all the moments in life where hesitation cost you opportunities. Perhaps you wanted to speak up in a meeting but stayed silent. Maybe you dreamed of starting something new but delayed until the moment passed. Hesitation always comes with regret, because deep down you know the opportunity could have been the stepping stone to something greater. On the other hand, think of the times you chose courage, even in the smallest ways. The first time you dared to say yes to a challenge, the first time you raised your hand, the first time you acted despite fear. You uncovered strength within yourself you didn't know existed. Those moments are where destiny breathes, because every courageous action pulls you closer to the life you were created to live. Destiny is not something handed to you. It is something you uncover layer by layer, choice by choice. Each time you silence fear, you peel back the curtain a little more. Each time you act with courage, you take another step toward the person you are meant to become. Some people wait their entire lives for destiny to magically arrive, never realizing that it waits on the other side of their hesitation. It does not come to the timid or the fearful. It comes to the brave. History is filled with examples of people who uncovered destiny through courage. Leaders who stood when the world told them to kneel. Innovators who dared to dream of things that didn't exist yet. Heroes who risked everything to change the course of humanity. None of them were without fear. They were ordinary individuals who felt the same doubts and hesitations as anyone else. The difference is that they silenced the fear long enough to take action, long enough to ignite a movement, long enough to walk toward destiny instead of away from it. Your own life holds this same potential. Destiny doesn't always arrive in a grand, dramatic moment. It often comes quietly, disguised as a choice. Do you take the leap or stay in comfort? Do you say yes to the opportunity or let hesitation steal it away? Do you move toward the dream or keep convincing yourself that someday will be better? Every choice matters. Every act of courage adds another brick to the foundation of your destiny. And every moment of hesitation builds another wall between you and the life you could have lived. Silencing fear does not mean pretending it isn't there. It means refusing to let it control your decisions. Fear may shout, but you don't have to obey. Courage is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The first step may feel terrifying, but with each step forward, fear grows weaker and courage grows louder. In time, you learn to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that destiny favors the bold. Imagine your future self years from now, looking back on this very moment. Will they thank you for being brave, or will they mourn the chances you didn't take because hesitation won? Every day you make that choice, and every day is a chance to silence fear and choose courage. Destiny is not a single event. It is a journey built on consistent moments of bravery. So when fear tells you to wait, answer with courage. When hesitation tries to chain you to the ground, break free with action. When doubt tries to dim your light, shine brighter. For it is in those moments of defiance, in those acts of bravery, that destiny reveals itself. You were not created to live in the shadows of fear or to be paralyzed by hesitation. You were created for more, for growth, for impact, for greatness. And the key to uncovering that greatness lies in silencing fear and walking forward with courage, even if your steps tremble. Destiny will not shout, it will whisper. It waits for you on the other side of fear, patiently calling your name. Only when you quiet the noise of hesitation and answer with action will you finally uncover it. Courage is the bridge, and every step across it brings you closer to the life you were always meant to live. Every great achiever battled doubt, but they moved forward despite it. It is easy to look at the success of others and assume they were born with unshakable confidence, that their journey was smooth, and that greatness came naturally to them. But the truth is, behind every story of triumph lies a story of doubt, hesitation, and fear. The difference between those who succeed and those who stop halfway is not the absence of doubt, but the decision to keep moving in spite of it. Doubt visits everyone. It whispers in the minds of leaders, innovators, artists, athletes, and dreamers. It does not discriminate. What sets achievers apart is how they respond to its voice. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Imagine the doubt that must have echoed in his mind each time his experiments collapsed. Yet instead of surrendering to the shadow of uncertainty, he reframed failure as progress. Each attempt taught him something new, and each small lesson silenced the doubts that told him he wasn't capable. His achievement did not come because doubt was absent. It came because perseverance was stronger. Consider Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison, locked away from the world, stripped of freedom. Doubt could have easily broken him, telling him that his fight was pointless, that his dream of equality was too distant, that hope was futile. Yet Mandela chose to keep moving forward, even from a prison cell. He chose to believe in the possibility of change, and when he finally walked free, his courage reshaped the destiny of a nation. Doubt was his constant companion, but courage was his constant choice. Look at every athlete who has ever stood on a world stage. Behind their victories are countless hours of grueling practice, setbacks, injuries, and failures. Doubt surely whispered that they were not strong enough, fast enough, or talented enough. But they chose to show up day after day, ignoring the voice that tried to hold them back. Michael Jordan, often celebrated as the greatest basketball player of all time, was once cut from his high school team. That moment of rejection could have buried his confidence forever. Instead, he used it as fuel. He admitted he doubted himself, but his commitment to keep playing, keep practicing, and keep believing in his potential allowed him to rise above those doubts and carve his name into history. Doubt is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are human. The most accomplished people you admire have felt it deeply. What makes them great is that they understood doubt was not a wall, but a hurdle, not a dead end, but a test of determination. They proved that the presence of doubt does not define your future, but your response to it does. If they had waited for doubt to vanish before taking action, they would still be waiting. Instead, they moved forward while carrying it, proving along the way that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Every dream worth chasing will be accompanied by doubt. The higher you aim, the louder the doubts become. When you aspire to create something extraordinary, your mind begins to question if you are capable, if you deserve it, if you will ever succeed. But achievers remind us that those questions do not need answers before you act. The answers reveal themselves only when you take the leap. Doubt says, "What if I fail?" Courage replies, "What if I succeed?" And the only way to discover which is true is by stepping forward. The story of doubt is also the story of resilience. Each time you act in spite of it, you build a stronger belief in yourself. Small victories add up, silencing the inner critic little by little. Great achievers didn't become fearless overnight. They built their confidence like muscles, through repetition, through persistence, through choosing to act again and again. Over time, doubt lost its grip because their track record of moving forward was stronger than their fear of falling. The world remembers achievers not for their doubts, but for their decisions. History doesn't record the number of times they questioned themselves, but it celebrates the moments when they chose to act anyway. Their lives stand as reminders that doubt cannot stop you unless you surrender to it. Their journeys prove that courage is more powerful than hesitation, and persistence more powerful than fear. Now, when you face doubt, remind yourself that you are walking the same path as every achiever who came before you. You are not alone, and you are not weaker for feeling uncertain. What will define you is not whether doubt arrives. It always will, but whether you allow it to dictate your choices. If you choose to move forward anyway, you align yourself with the same spirit that drove dreamers, leaders, and innovators to greatness. Great achievers battled doubt, and so will you. But like them, you can use it as a signal, a sign that you are pushing into new territory, into growth, into possibility. Doubt shows up when you are stretching beyond the ordinary, and that is proof you are on the right path. If you move forward despite it, you not only weaken its power, but strengthen your own. The truth is simple: achievers are not special. because they never doubted themselves. They are special because they refused to let doubt stop them. They walked forward, step by step, until their actions silenced the voices of fear. That is the path open to you as well. You may hear doubt, but you do not have to obey it. You can carry it with you, keep walking, and watch as your persistence transforms uncertainty into achievement. That is how destinies are fulfilled, not by waiting for doubt to disappear, but by daring to move forward even while it lingers. Progress is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in the presence of it. Too many people wait for fear to disappear before they begin their journey. They tell themselves, "I'll start when I feel ready. I'll act when I'm no longer afraid. I'll take the leap when I'm sure it will work." But readiness never arrives, because fear never fully leaves. Fear is not an enemy you defeat once and for all. It is a constant companion of growth. Every new challenge, every greater dream, every step outside of comfort invites fear to join you. If you believe you must eliminate fear to move forward, you will stay stuck, trapped in hesitation. Progress comes when you understand that fear is not a stop sign. It is simply background noise that you can learn to walk with. Fear has a clever way of disguising itself. Sometimes it appears as doubt, whispering that you aren't good enough or that you don't deserve success. Other times it dresses up as logic, convincing you that it's safer to wait, that now is not the right time, that the risk is too great. At times it paralyzes you with vivid images of failure, making the path ahead look darker than it truly is. Yet, look closely, and you'll notice that fear rarely speaks of reality. It speaks of possibility, of imagined outcomes that haven't even happened. It lives in the what-ifs of your mind. Progress begins the moment you stop feeding those what-ifs and decide to move forward anyway. Every person who has achieved greatness has felt fear. The difference is that they acted despite it. Fear tried to stop Martin Luther King Jr. when he stood to speak about justice. But he spoke anyway, and his words moved nations. Fear stood in the heart of Rosa Parks when she refused to give up her seat. But her act of courage lit the spark of a movement. Fear accompanied every pioneer who stepped into uncharted territory, every inventor who risked ridicule, every artist who dared to show their work to the world. If they had waited for fear to vanish, the world would never have known their contributions. They moved forward not because fear was absent, but because courage was present. Progress is always built on imperfect steps. Courage doesn't demand that you be fearless. It demands that you act while trembling, speak while your voice shakes, and move while your knees feel weak. That is why every step forward is so powerful. It is not just physical progress, but emotional triumph. Each time you act despite fear, you weaken its grip on your future. You prove to yourself that fear cannot control you, and in doing so, you build resilience. Over time, your courage grows stronger, and the voice of fear grows smaller. Think of the moments in your own life where you dared to act in the presence of fear. Maybe it was applying for a job you weren't sure you'd get, standing up to speak in front of others, or taking the first step toward a new dream. At the time, fear was loud, but you acted anyway, and afterward you felt stronger, braver, more capable. That moment of progress wasn't because fear disappeared. It was because you decided to move through it. Imagine if you multiplied those moments, choosing again and again to act in the face of fear. Your progress would be unstoppable. The trap many fall into is believing that courage feels good. The truth is, courage often feels uncomfortable, uncertain, even painful. But comfort has never built progress. Discomfort has. Growth is born in those moments when you lean into fear rather than run from it. Progress demands risk, and risk always awakens fear. But risk also awakens possibility, and without it, destiny remains hidden. The reality is that fear and progress are inseparable. You cannot have one without the other. Every new chapter in your life will bring both. But here is the secret. Fear is not proof that you cannot do it. Fear is proof that you are on the right track, that you are stretching beyond what you have known, that you are stepping into new ground. The presence of fear is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of growth. Progress is not about achieving perfection. It's about the willingness to keep moving despite fear, failure, or uncertainty. Fear will tell you to stay still. Courage will tell you to keep going. Each decision you make between those two voices shapes your future. One leads to stagnation, the other to transformation. And every time you choose courage, you not only move closer to your goals, but also shape yourself into the kind of person who no longer lets fear dictate their destiny. So, when fear shows up at your doorstep, do not wait for it to vanish. Acknowledge it, but do not obey it. Carry it with you if you must, but move forward anyway. Because progress is not born from fearlessness. It is born from action in the presence of fear. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every decision to act, even when afraid, is a declaration that your future matters more than your fear. In the end, fear will always knock, but it has no power unless you let it in. Progress belongs to those who open the door not to fear, but to courage. It belongs to those who walk into the unknown with trembling hands and hopeful hearts. And it belongs to those who understand that destiny doesn't wait for fear to disappear. It waits for you to move forward anyway. Your destiny doesn't wait for perfection. It waits for bravery. Too often, people delay their dreams because they are waiting to become flawless, to feel completely ready, to achieve a state where failure is impossible. They believe that once they are smarter, stronger, more skilled, or more prepared, then they can finally begin pursuing what they were born to do. But perfection is an illusion. It is a moving target that no one ever truly reaches. If you wait for it, you will wait forever. Destiny does not demand perfection from you. It demands courage. It asks for your willingness to step forward in faith, even when your hands shake and your heart beats fast. It is bravery, not perfection, that opens the door to the life you are meant to live. The myth of perfection is one of the greatest traps that holds people back. Perfection whispers that if you make one mistake, you are not worthy. It convinces you that failure is fatal, that flaws make you unqualified, and that the risk of stumbling means you should not even try. But if you look at every great achiever in history, you will see that their journeys were paved with imperfections. They stumbled, they failed, they doubted themselves, yet they kept moving forward. What made them great was not flawless execution, but unshakable bravery. They dared to begin before they were ready. They chose courage over hesitation, and in doing so, they uncovered their destiny. Think of the young writer who dreams of publishing a book, but never starts because the draft isn't perfect, or the aspiring entrepreneur who delays launching their idea because they fear the first version will not be flawless, or the person who longs to speak, sing, create, or lead but holds back because they believe their skills must be polished beyond reproach. Perfection is the silent killer of dreams, stealing opportunities not because people lacked ability, but because they lacked bravery. The truth is, no masterpiece began as a masterpiece. Every book began as a rough draft, every company as a risky idea, every performance as a trembling first step. Perfection was never the starting point. Bravery was. Destiny rewards those who are bold enough to begin. It is revealed to those who understand that imperfection is not a barrier, but a companion on the journey. Mistakes are not proof of inadequacy, they are proof of effort. Each misstep is a lesson, each setback a stepping stone. Perfection tries to hide those lessons from you by convincing you to never start, but bravery embraces them, knowing they are essential for growth. The person who waits until they are perfect never discovers their potential, but the one who dares to start discovers strength they never knew they had. Bravery is about choosing to show up exactly as you are. It is about believing that your dream matters more than your fear of flaws. It is about understanding that courage does not eliminate mistakes. It transforms them into tools for progress. Every brave act brings clarity, experience, and wisdom that perfection could never give you. The road to destiny is not straight and polished. It is messy, winding, and uncertain. Only bravery equips you to walk it. Consider the inventors who changed the world. The Wright brothers were not perfect engineers, but they were brave enough to test their fragile flying machine again and again until it worked. Steve Jobs was not flawless in every decision, but his bravery to challenge norms reshaped entire industries. Malala Yousafzai was not fearless, but her bravery to speak up gave millions a voice. None of these destinies were built on perfection. They were built on courage. Bravery means saying yes even when you don't have all the answers. It means taking the first step even when you cannot see the whole staircase. It means being willing to fail, to be criticized, to stumble, and still keep going. Perfection seeks certainty, but bravery thrives in uncertainty. And it is in uncertainty that destiny reveals itself. You cannot plan every detail of your future. You cannot eliminate every risk. But you can choose to walk forward, to act, to try. That is what destiny requires. The truth is, people don't remember you for being perfect. They remember you for being brave. They remember the risks you took, the obstacles you overcame, the courage you showed when fear tried to stop you. Your destiny is not waiting for you to polish every flaw. It is waiting for you to rise in courage, scars and all. So do not wait until you feel flawless. Do not wait until every detail is figured out. Do not wait for a perfect moment that will never come. Begin now with what you have, with who you are. Begin with trembling hands and an uncertain heart if you must, but begin. Because destiny does not meet you at the finish line of perfection. It meets you at the starting line of bravery. Every act of bravery is a declaration that your future matters more than your fear. Each time you step forward in courage, you are aligning yourself with the life you were created to live. And as you keep moving, you will discover that destiny was never about being perfect. It was about being bold enough to walk into the unknown. Your destiny doesn't wait for perfection. It waits for bravery. And bravery is already within you, waiting for you to trust it, to use it, to let it guide you into the life you were born to live. Defeating doubt unlocks the strength, courage, and greatness already within you. Every human being carries within themselves an extraordinary reservoir of power, a well of resilience, and a spark of greatness. Yet, most never truly experience the full extent of it because they allow doubt to hold them captive. Doubt builds invisible chains that keep people tied to mediocrity, whispering that they are not capable, not worthy, not ready. But the truth is, you are far stronger than your doubt would ever let you believe. When you break free from its grip, you do not just overcome fear, you awaken the greatness that has always lived inside you. Doubt works like a mask, hiding your true potential from view. It makes you underestimate your abilities and magnify your weaknesses. It tells you that you are too small for the dream, too inexperienced for the challenge, or too ordinary to make a difference. But the reality is that none of those things define you. What defines you is what you choose to believe about yourself. The moment you choose to rise above doubt, you give yourself permission to tap into the strength you already have. That strength does not appear from nowhere. It was always there, waiting to be discovered. Think about times in your life when you overcame something you once thought impossible. Maybe it was surviving hardship, achieving a goal, or facing a challenge you feared would break you. At the beginning, doubt said, "You can't do this." Yet you did. You made it through. That is proof that you already carry the strength you need. Each time you silence doubt, you allow that strength to rise again, and with it, courage and greatness begin to unfold. Courage is not something you acquire after doubt disappears. It is something you uncover when you choose to act despite doubt. When you tell yourself, "I will not let fear stop me." Courage rises like a fire within you. It is already inside, buried under hesitation and insecurity, waiting for you to clear the way. That is why so many people feel an incredible rush of confidence after doing something they once feared. Because by defeating doubt, they gave their courage room to breathe. The act of stepping forward, even in trembling steps, awakens bravery that was always there but silenced by fear. Greatness is often mistaken for something external, like fame, wealth, or recognition. But true greatness is internal. It is the alignment of your actions with your highest potential. It is living fully, giving your best, and impacting others in a way that only you can. Doubt tries to convince you that greatness is beyond your reach. Yet, when you choose to defeat doubt, You realize greatness was not something to be chased. It was something to be revealed. It has always been part of who you are, waiting for the courage to bring it forth. History is filled with ordinary individuals who discovered their strength, courage, and greatness by defeating doubt. Think of Harriet Tubman, who risked her life to free others despite the danger and fear that doubt must have placed on her shoulders. She could have listened to the voice that said it was impossible, but she chose courage, and in doing so, her greatness changed history. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who faced threats and violence, yet continued to speak for education. Doubt could have silenced her forever, but her courage awakened a global movement. These individuals remind us that greatness is not reserved for a select few. It is unlocked by anyone who chooses to rise above doubt. Your story can be no different. Within you lies the ability to create, to lead, to overcome, to inspire. Yet you will never know the depths of your strength until you challenge the lies of doubt. Each time you push past fear, you peel away another layer hiding your greatness. Every step forward is a declaration that you will not allow uncertainty to control your future. You may stumble, you may fall, but even those experiences build resilience and reveal just how powerful you are. Doubt wants you to believe that mistakes weaken you. In reality, they shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Defeating doubt does not mean you will never feel it again. It will return at every new chapter, trying to test your resolve. But once you learn to silence it, you carry the proof that you can do it again. You build a record of victories that remind you of the courage and strength already inside you. Over time, doubt loses its power because your belief in yourself grows stronger than its lies. That is when true greatness emerges. Not because you were fearless, but because you refused to let fear define you. Imagine a life where you no longer hesitate at the doorstep of opportunity. A life where you silence the voice that says, "You can't," and replace it with, "Watch me." That is the life that opens when you defeat doubt. It is not a life without challenges, but a life where challenges reveal your best self instead of shrinking you. It is a life of impact, purpose, and fulfillment, because the strength, courage, and greatness within you are no longer trapped. They are free to shine. The world does not need more people paralyzed by doubt. It needs more people awakened to their greatness. And that greatness begins with you. It begins with your decision to rise above the shadow of doubt and to act with courage, even when you are afraid. You already carry the strength you need, the courage you admire in others, and the greatness you long to achieve. The only thing standing in your way is the voice of doubt. Once you silence it, you unlock everything you were meant to become. Defeating doubt is not just about proving the voice wrong. It is about proving yourself right. It is about showing yourself that the power, the resilience, and the brilliance you seek have always been within you. When you defeat doubt, you don't just uncover your destiny. You uncover yourself. And what you discover is extraordinary.